Namaste and welcome to another great day at the Mike and Connor Homestead. Today Connor's going to start off our video. Connor?
Today's shout out will be to Judy, the lady in the last video, Mike's mom. She's been a really nice step-grandma to me. Thank you, Judy.
Mom, I wouldn't be where I am without you. Thank you for raising me and putting me through college, even though I was probably a bit of an idiot growing up. You prevented me from doing too many stupid things, and for that, I thank you. So tonight we're going to talk about the bell siphon, some different drain options for the aquaponic drain, and this right here is for the cleaning of the grow medium. So before I talk about all this, we're going to discuss the water utilization of aquaponics. Aquaponics uses 92% less water than conventional gardening. The only two reasons you would lose water in an aquaponics scenario would be to evaporation and whatever the plants are eating or drinking, or both. And that's what makes aquaponics such a great system. With the recent drought in California and Nevada, it may be the wave of the future if we can't produce food efficiently using conventional farming. And so that's what makes aquaponics so awesome to me. The other thing I really enjoy about aquaponics is the quality of the food that you're going to produce. It's considered about as organic as the food that you're going to feed the fish. They have different percentages for how an organic food is classified, conventionally using gardening, with everything from the compost that you feed it, to the cow doo-doo, to whatever pesticides and all of that you're using. It's really difficult to use pesticides in an aquaponic setup because it could kill the fish. And episode 5 in our series, I will strictly talk about pesticides and ways of preventing pests from getting into your aquaponic setup. So, there's a hydroponic setup, and, hydroponics I'm not a huge fan of. Issue with hydroponics is that you're putting artificial nutrients into that water without using fish. Fish eliminate the need for you to have to add anything into that water. The water comes into the plants ready to be utilized as food and water for the plants in an aquaponic setup, making the food taste better. If you've ever had a head of lettuce grown hydroponically, it's really watery, not a lot of taste to it. And that I dislike about hydroponics. So this right here is the 5-gallon bucket I use to move about a little over a square yard of black lava rock into my greenhouse. You can see I drilled holes in the bottom of it. So what I did is I got a truckload, filled this up, brought it to the hose, hosed all the dirt off of it, dumped it into the actual grow bed of the aquaponics, and it probably took me, realistically, over 200 loads of this. So you can see, again, the total amount of work that went into me building this. This right here is just another kind of way to see, wow, what a lot of work that was. These drains here, this is the one I use. It works. It looks like a shower head. I call it a shower head because I drilled a bunch of holes in the bottom of the cap. And it stands about 6 inches over the water so that it doesn't stand too tall and have water spray all over the place. I want to keep that water in the system and not have it pour out the side. So really like this one. It's what worked with the bell siphon. It's what helped to keep that bell siphon breaking every time the water emptied. So this was what I ended up using. I used this second. This was the first one I tried to use. I watched a video by Bigelow Farms. He made a bell siphon, and he's a very talented man. Used a lot of his ideas to make my bell siphon. And if you want to learn a lot about the construction of a bell siphon, he has videos on that. But I could not use this J-style setup. the siphon would not break when it emptied, because for some reason the water would just kind of stop right here, and then it just continue to try and break, and I just wasn't having any luck. I still have it because I cemented everything together, and I was unsuccessful with this. I think if you use the smaller setup, you may be successful using this, but I was not. So a little bit more talk about the bell siphon. It took me about 8 hours, so basically a full day, to dial in my bell siphon. Getting it to fill up correctly and drain was a real treat. So I tried it without the snorkel initially and was unsuccessful. I wasn't getting enough air into the siphon to break it when it emptied, so I added the snorkel to the bell. My friend Vince in Maui had done a smaller setup prior to me, and he told me that he was unsuccessful using the snorkel, and so I tried it without it. I was unsuccessful. I am running a much larger setup than he was, and I'm guessing that's partially why I needed to run a snorkel. The cap was also an integral part to making this work. What the cap does is allow even more air into the snorkel, and without this, the end of this snorkel just sits in the water and just sucks water in through and through a bunch of times, and it just doesn't work very well. So this was another integral part for me, and made it work really well. Now for a pump, I used a 600 gallon an hour Magpul pump. It's very energy efficient for a large pump of its size. It fills and drains probably a full cycle within 10 minutes. So I'm going about 6-7 cycles an hour of it filling and draining. You only realistically need it to do it maybe 3 to 4 times in an hour, but my theory on it is the more the merrier. The more times that siphon fills and drains in an hour, the better for me. That just means that many more times that water is getting thoroughly drained of the doo-doo. The plants are getting that much more water and nutrients and oxygen because that water is constantly moving and more oxygen's coming into it. And my plants have grown at a much more accelerated pace than had I done a less cycle per hour setup. And a lot of guys, what they'll do is run the pump on a timer, so the pump will turn on once every 15 minutes, run a full cycle, turn off. I did not like that idea because I feel like the life of the pump may lessen because it's constantly turning on and off, and I feel like that is not a good way to run the system. That's just my thoughts on it. I don't think it's going to conserve that much electricity, and I've been successful running it all the time. Another thing that I failed to mention in a previous video was tilapia. Very popular fish. You know, I think I did mention that in the last video. My apologies, but I think I may try tilapia myself. Want to work on maybe building a brick and mortar greenhouse prior so I can lock more heat into the system, and then I may run it through the winter as well. So with that, I'm going to give the camera back to Connor, and he's going to discuss something that we did last night.
Last night we installed goldfish, 50 of them.
You want to feed them, and I'll get the camera so they can see them. So we tried to videotape getting the goldfish, but Tim sabotaged the video. He was really interested in getting some attention, and he ended up knocking the camera down. So Tim, thank you for ruining the show last night. We still love you though. And they may not come and eat. Let's just give them a minute. I can kind of see them there swimming below. They're still probably getting used to the water. We haven't had one die yet, which is awesome. We put the water in this pond maybe, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and made sure that all of the chlorine was taken out to give the fish the best chance of survival possible. The little goldfish are going to be in there, or in this setup, for a year, and those that can survive it will make it inside to the greenhouse, but we give them a 1-year trial period. If you just dumped a large amount of goldfish like this into a mature fish setting, and one of the goldfish maybe had a disease, it would maybe kill the whole entire setup. And so that's why we do this. We want to make sure that we are giving the fish a trial period, and you can see there's one that's kind of cruising to the top, but it looks like they're still getting used to this. So with that, I want to say, all of you, thank you for watching us. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. We love questions, and we haven't gotten any yet, so I hope that means I'm doing a great job with this. But if not, I'd love to hear your questions. And as always, like and subscribe if you like all of our videos. So mahalo for watching, and good night.